The House of Representatives is invited to note that the 2025-2026 borrowing plan cut across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, security, and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms, among others. Total facility of the project and programs under the borrowing rolling plan is United States dollars 21 billion 543,647,912, and also 2 billion euro 2 billion 193,856,324.54 euro, and in Japanese yen 15 billion yen, and grant of 65 million respectively, and the summary of the breakdown is attached.
Now, to speak more on this, we're joined by Oladipo Ajayi, Head Fixed Income and FX at Chapel Hill Denham. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, Oladipo. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on this morning.
Now, Oladipo, which key sectors are prioritized in President Tinubu's $21.5 billion external borrowing proposal? And, talking about the sectors, which of these sectors are expected to contribute to economic growth?
Well, I think firstly, I'll pick the infrastructural investments into rail and road. And I feel that will open up the economy because if you look at it critically, a lot of farmers up the north, they are finding it very difficult to actually transport their goods to the south. And that's been a major problem. And that has also increased the prices of food production. So I will pick infrastructure in the line of the land and the rail system. Also, I'll pick the agricultural sector. That's also very fascinating. In such a time when food pricing is actually going gaga, I think that the government also needs to invest aggressively into this sector. They need to actually empower farmers to go beyond subsistence farming into more like a large-scale farming so as to be able to cater for the need of Nigerians, and also cater beyond the consumption of Nigeria, even to the extent that we can now export to other African countries or beyond African border. Another one that comes to mind is security. And if you look at what has been happening in the last weeks, I think there's been a lot of pressure on the security guys in fighting insurgents, fighting bandits, and the likes. So I think the government needs to actually empower them the more, and because the earlier you win the war, the better for the government and the better for the people. And like we mentioned earlier on, the farmers, they are finding, some of them are still finding it very difficult to access their farmland, and all because of the insecurities. So I feel the government can invest aggressively into these. They will be able to quash this in good time and be able to actually put the economy in the right direction. So also, we also need to look at the health sector as well. There's a lot of health tourism that has been happening. There are a lot of Nigerians traveling abroad for medical tourism, and don't also forget that this has been one of the highest drainer of FX, because when you look at the invisible window, you notice is people that are actually traveling for vacation, people that are paying school fees, and also people that are going on medical tourism. And I think that if the government can actually invest aggressively into this, into the medical sector, I think that this will actually, to a great extent, reduce the pressure on FX demand, and at the same time, make Nigeria also destination for people looking for medical tourism. Because when you look at the currency now, it means that they give room for importation, for exportation of service and product. So it means that we can actually export this service for other people maybe in African countries to actually come to Nigeria for medical tourism. So this
Now,
will also
do you think that this new borrowing initiative, Oladipo, would be more effective, when it comes to addressing Nigeria's infrastructure deficit compared to previous efforts?
Well, I think it's about the intention and how deliberate the current government is about actually creating this thing. And I think what marked my mind personally is that I will take a clue from the 700 kilometer Lagos Calabar road. And when they first announced it, a lot of people just felt that it's just one of those projects, white elephant projects that government will announce without any backing, and in no time we will just buy a silent debt. But with what we have seen happening in Lagos, we have seen that close to about 30 kilometers has been completed. And the president is also looking to actually flag off the second section of it. And at this time now, there will be simultaneous construction across other outlets of this project. So it makes sense that if a government is actually deliberate about some of these things, they can actually achieve. So I feel that it looks as if this current government is actually deliberate about some of the projects. They also mentioned about the Badagry to Sokoto road, and also work has started already on that particular axis as well. So I feel that it seems as if the government look serious, but they also need the resources to be able to actually actualize some of these dreams.
Now let's look at the current context of, fuel subsidy removal and decline in revenue. Would you say that the timing of this borrowing plan is strategically sound, or is it potentially risky?
Well, we will not say the Nigerian revenue has dropped because when you look at our revenue for last year, we did over 21 trillion in terms of revenue last year. And when you compare it to what we did in 2023, it's almost like 100% higher than what we did in 2023. And I think the subsidy removal, what the government just gained from that is that, before them, it's not that we have that revenue to actually meet the subsidy obligation. It was just that we need to borrow to actually fund that particular obligation. But what the government is trying to do is that since you have removed subsidy, we can now borrow for infrastructural development, and that's exactly what the government is doing. So I get the angle that does this sound risky to me? Of course, to a great extent, because when you're looking at 21.5 billion, and when you look at our total external debt as we speak is about 45.78 billion thereabout. So it means that we are increasing our external debt by close to about 50%. But the solace is that what are we really using it for? If it's for infrastructural development, if it's for to develop the health sector, if it's for to improve educational standards, if it's to create infrastructural development, if it's to actually boost the agricultural sector, it makes a lot of sense than actually borrowing such huge fund and actually use it to actually pay for subsidy, either in terms of fuel subsidy or electricity subsidy. So I feel it's better for us to borrow for infrastructure than for us to borrow for consumption. And what would now come after that is the development, the infrastructural development will further boost the revenue generating capacity of the government. So it means that if you create an enabling environment, businesses will thrive. When businesses thrive, you have more taxes that will come in form of revenue to the government in this. So you increase the government capacity to actually meet the obligation. If you actually create a sane environment, it will attract foreign investors. It will attract foreign portfolio investors. It will attract foreign direct investment. This also will also help you to actually stabilize the volatile FX system and also helps you to actually be able to plan. So when you look at it from that perspective, it sounds laudable. But just my concern is the fact that the government needs to be extremely committed to this. We need to ensure that government are accountable to some of these projects. Government should
give concerns as well about the potential macroeconomic implications of securing loans, especially in multiple currencies like the US dollar, the euro, and the Japanese yen.
The challenge is the fact that if we don't make use of the fund very well, the implication is that the danger awaits us in the future. Because this fund, they are actually foreign currency, and it simply means that we're exposed to exchange rate volatility. I imagine in 2007, if you have borrowed $1 million in 2007, when the exchange rate was about 117 naira, now compare it to now, assuming you are now redeeming it now, you can have an idea of how much you are going to pay to actually redeem the amount you actually collected in 2007. So, but what the government can do is to ensure that this fund are heavily deployed, and also they make consistent provision for some of these obligations. And Nigeria is not totally exposed like that, because one thing, we are also FX generating country, and we also have enough opportunity to actually tap more resources so as to be able to improve our FX generating capacity. Like I mentioned earlier on, the agricultural sector, we can actually improve production in that aspect to actually export to neighboring countries or outside the world. What that will mean to us is more FX generating capacity. We can also unlock the resources in the mining sector, and that also will improve our FX generating capacity. And also the service sectors as well is also one big earner of FX for Nigeria. The government can also improve the activity in this sector as well, so as to actually increase our FX generating capacity. If we can actually do this, it will make it easier for us to actually meet some of these obligations in the future, and that will reduce the danger that could be waiting for us in the future.
Oladipo, thank you so much for your time and also for speaking to us on this.